Welcome to the History Hunter. Welcome to our small adventures with the WW2 time frame. Today we're going to show you something absolutely spectacular. If you want to find out what that is, well, join us and let's go out and find the past together right now. Just a tiny little introduction segment here. These are aircrafts from the Second World War time frame. They are very iconic. Most of people who kind of take interest in World War II history will recognize them immediately. But imagine that there could be something laying in your backyard that you don't even know about. Well, that's what this story is kind of all about. If you want to help us out to reach more people, please watch the video in full. That's all we ask. Don't skip, because the YouTube algorithm counts seconds. And if you help us out with each and every second of that, you're actually helping us out tremendously. So thank you for that. Now let's go out and see what today is all about. Let me put this into a little context for you. 1944 was the single most destructive year for both the RAF and the USAF during the strategic bombing of Germany. Combined, over 900,000 tons of bombs were dropped, and they were dropped all over Germany, including this area here. That is more than in all previous years combined. The German Luftwaffe had mostly lost air superiority over Germany by early spring in 1944, but still had enough power and strength to engage enemy fighters and could still count on the German flak crews to inflict heavy losses on Allied bombers. As the Luftwaffe was thinned out, daytime raids over Germany had become more common, though the aforementioned flak was still a deadly obstacle for many of the crews of the Allied and American aircrafts. Let's say you go into this forest for about 100 meters. I'm willing to bet you quite a lot that if you do a metal detecting search here, let's say you cover 500 square meters, you will find a bomb splinter or artillery shell splinter. Why? That is because so much happened here during a very short time period, and that is also focused on the Battle of Berlin. So in all of these forests, what we do know is that it's very easy to find these artifacts like artillery shell fragments or pieces of weaponry that the German, the Red Army soldier used. But what is very, very rare to find is what we are going to show you here today. Because sometimes it is absolutely unbelievable what you can actually still find out here in the open, and you can go over to it and you can touch it. It's unbelievable. So that is our mission today. We're going to show you an artifact out here that you never expected could be here. This is a very typical scene. You've seen it so many times before. Allies coming in, bombing all the German cities, infrastructure for days on end, and then the German flak crews trying their very, very best to make sure that the aircrafts couldn't do as much work as they wanted. And that is a very, very common scene. But what you don't see, almost never see, is the aftermath of the German flak hitting those aircrafts, namely the wrecks that landed on German soil. What is even rarer is to to be able to walk up to such a crash site and find pieces of the Allied aircrafts up in the air in heavy populated areas where a lot of people walk and do stuff. To find that today is so rare, but that's exactly what we're going to do here. Not too far away from here, in the afternoon of August 1944, one aircraft came over a city, did its duty, dropped the bomb, but a German flak crew located these and engaged that group of Allied bombers. What they also managed to do was to critically hitting one of the aircrafts And then what follows afterwards is a mystery, but eyewitnesses have said that the aircraft burst into flames and it crashed down into a field. And that field is just here. But could it be possible for us to find this piece of wreckage just by walking right to it? Well, I guess you just have to follow and see if we can do that. Because this field is pretty treacherous, because it looks so nice, but somewhere you can really step into the wrong holes and you will sink like half a meter. So you have to be very, very careful. To find an Allied aircraft wreck today in Germany in 2023, that is so difficult just by itself, because you normally have to dig very, very deep into the ground to find even the tiniest piece. To find something that actually lays on the top of a field, that is what you call impossible. So no traces of it yet. It's supposed to be in this little bit more rough terrain side of the field, because there are several fields here. Some of them are really well culturated or whatever you call it, and some of them are in more rugged terrain. But so far I cannot see anything. This bomber supposedly carried a crew of 8. None of them survived the crash. The crews were buried in the local cemetery, but they were repatriated in 1948 by British military authorities. And I don't actually know too much more than that. But now we walk quite a bit around here and I still can't see it. A lot of you donated specifically with the Super Thanks feature for the Eastern Front trip. And these are the incredible people who gave us something extra to go out and do this Eastern Front road trip. And I can promise you there's a lot coming. You are the guys and girls who did something special for us. And I said, I will bring you out here and make you historical. And today, I'm going to do something even more special. But first, thank you all on that list for helping us out with these donations. I'm going to prove to you that you are going to be historical. Because what we are going to do, we are going to place this specific model, if we can find a wreck, on the wreck. I'm going to take a couple of photos of it, and then we are going to make a little special for one of you. We're going to find, Eagle Eye's going to mess all this up. We're going to put a number on it later, and we're going to make a draw, and one of you will be the future keeper of this model where you came with us. And if we can find this thing, it's going to be a very special thing for you to remember, because you have the video, you have the story, you have the model that was actually placed directly on the wreckage. Again, if we can find it. If not, at least it was here. So thank you all for that. And that was the segment for us saying thank you to all of you supporting us on the Super Thanks feature. All right, it took us long enough, but I think we have a success. What we're going to show you now is very, very, very rare. And for me, this is the absolute pinnacle of history. And that is right there. That is very, very special to see. Here we have the leftover of an Avro Lancaster. Been shot down by the German flak crews. And the tiniest, this is a small piece, but nevertheless, that is history for you. Just laying there and found that. That is specifically amazing. And to know that the German flak crews did their job is just as amazing to know that the Allied pilots did their job. And now the proof of what took place there in August 1944 is just in front of our eyes. That is pretty special. These small, tiny, well, they're not tiny, they're actually quite big. And you can see here, they actually torched it apart. You see that? Someone torched it and just cut that thing up. And I'm very happy that there are still some small pieces here. Look at that gear there. Did something with the function. And there's a part here, a huge beam. That is so cool to see that it's still there. And you have, that is really well stuck into the ground. Rivets and everything. Wow. And what is very strange about this, we just talked to some locals. They didn't know about this. And that is the craziest thing. Eagle Eyes said, "Daddy, how come we know about it?" And then I said, very clever to Eagle Eyes, we do the research, we do the travel, and we create results. And this is the result of the support that comes in. And I bet you've never seen a British bomber in the middle of a German field just laying there. That is one of the most rare things that you could ever come across. And actually right behind me now is an old timer coming down the hill because he followed us, because I talked to him and he said, "What?" And now I think the conversation is going to start, but this is absolutely wonderful. That what just happened is amazing. I cannot record these gentlemen's. Oh wow, this is history for you. Oh my goodness, I can't believe what just happened. We talked to a lady on our way in here. He was dragging her child in a what's it called, trolley?
Yeah, trolley.
Having a good time, and I just asked her if we could park up here. It was legal, and said, yeah, it's okay. And then I mentioned that we are looking for a aircraft. And she tried to call a gentleman, which proved to be her stepfather. And he didn't know about this. He's very interested in history, and he didn't know about it. And then suddenly a very old gentleman appeared with this other gentleman and this lady. And boy, oh boy, did we get something that we never expected. Hi, guys.
Yeah.
That is amazing. We spoke to this gentleman. He was 4 years old when this happened. He remembered this specific day. He actually saw the aircraft burning up in the sky, coming crashing down in the forest area here, tumbling over, smashing a lot of trees, and boom, ending right there. And he was 4 years old. That is absolutely out of this world. And I don't know how much I could say I appreciate that conversation. We spent like 20 minutes here talking about it. And it's incredible to see what this tiny little piece of metal kind of represents. And he told this crazy story. Shall we tell them?
Maybe.
Yeah. They collected the aluminium and they filed small aluminium pieces and grinded them, and they made homemade rockets out of it. What the heck?
And what did they use that for?
I don't know. They had some fun with it. That is out of this world. And I said,
crazy.
"Did you really pick pieces from this when you were a little child?" "Yes," he said. And then he said, "Oh, I'm so excited because this is so cool." Then he said, I had to do some adjustments here with the camera. This gentleman told us that they, as I said, created rockets by grinding this aluminium and in the, what did he say, magnesium? And made homemade rockets out of it. But in the 60s, then all the Soviets came and the Schrottsammler, they took it for aluminium. There was a lot more here, a ton more of this structure was here. And then it just slowly disappeared. They tried to get this piece up, but it's so buggy that they couldn't do it. Even a tractor couldn't pull it up. So they just left it. And that's the story that he knows. So up here in this bog, you now have the leftover of a very, very unique history that we were so lucky to take part in. And I don't know what to say. I just loved that little encounter, and they're now waving to us up there. Thank you so much. Wow, that is something else for you. I do understand why they can't get this up, because yes, it is really, really boggy here. I just wanted to see if we can see some more details. Heavy duty fasteners there. And the gray paint is still there. It's a bit difficult to see when the sun is right on it. But if I do this and create a little shadow there, can you see that gray? That is the original paint. You can see nuts, you can see rivets. Wow. I don't know about you guys, but for me, this is absolutely history in a nutshell. And to be able to come to this place and tell, this is the craziest part, this gentleman who was the stepfather, he didn't know this. He has lived here for his whole life. But the elderly gentleman, he knows about it. And he was the 4-year-old boy playing here. But to see that we know more about this wreckage than a guy who has lived here his whole life, he's in the 60s, that is pretty special. Oh, I love the details of the wreckage here. See that? Wow. That is that a brass nut? It actually looks like a brass nut. That's because it's clamped onto it, so you tighten it, it won't let go. And that looks like it has some locking device, plastic thing or whatever. I thought that was just newer piece of nuts that had that, but it seems like it was inside there actually, some red plastic stuff or whatever. You can see here the Schrottsammler, or those who collected metals in the 60s. They just cut out whatever they could. Yeah, we promised you that that Lancaster model would stay right there. I'm going to take some very nice photos of it, and then one of you will be the lucky keeper of something absolutely unique, because now you are historical. You have a piece of this history that we share with you, and I can't wait to see how happy you will be to be the future keeper of that, because I would have been, because we really worked a lot to get that model to us before we left, hoping that we can actually find this place, and then we had to do all the research or the travel. Boom! But that's thanks to you. That is absolutely thanks to you. Oh, there's a tiny little metal piece. Where was that?
In the water.
In the water?
Yep.
Okay.
Just
It was just laying there by itself. You didn't take it off anything or anything like that?
laying right there.
So this piece was in the water, yeah?
Yeah, just left there as well.
Okay. Wow. So happy. Eagle Eyes is investigating this whole part, and I'm so happy that this happened, that this elderly gentleman came. He was 4 years when that happened. Look at that beautifully machined part there. And that is a fantastic addition to what we set out to do. We set out to find this thing, and believe it or not, we found this thing by using a very special LiDAR map with a very high resolution, and boom, suddenly it was here. What did you say something here, Eagle Eyes? You said something about a number?
Yeah, right there.
What? Where?
3D3290.
Oh yeah, 3D 3290. How did you spot that? Well, you are Eagle Eyes. My son has a nickname, Eagle Eyes, and that's why. 3D 3290. I could never have seen that. Oh, a tube. Very nice, very nice. This is most likely oil coolant tubes, maybe. Let's put that there.
Yeah.
Wow. And there's a hole there. Can you see that? Maybe that's a hole from the shrapnels being fired up with the 88s. That could very well be that, a damage. coming from the crash, or maybe something went right through there. I don't know. This backside is just as exciting. But guess what? This gentleman shared something with us that we cannot share with you. We most likely will later, because of the risk of other people finding out what we now know. But we might have a surprise for you when it comes to this specific location. Well, if that's not a very special story, I don't know what is. We were allowed to take this specific little piece to follow the model. Thank you from the landowner. Well, we do the research, we travel, we go out and find these locations. And if you want to help us out to reach more locations, as I said, we have this super thanks feature here. That is your opportunity to help us to go out and find and share even more history. Well, this elderly gentleman told me something that I in the beginning didn't actually believe. Then afterwards I got some proofs, and it turns out that something absolutely spectacular happened in that area, and I've seen the proof. Now it's just a matter of being able to stitch together some permissions and blah 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 to do something very, very special there. So I'm hoping that we're going to be able to do that when we return. So let's cross the fingers for that. But what a extraordinary little explorer. I just love that. As I said, if you want to help us out, watch the videos in full, don't skip. And you are helping us out to reach more people in that way. Thank you for watching, subscribing, commenting. Totally appreciate it. And if you leave a heart and a comment, that is so great. What can I say? It's a very special place. It's a very special occasion to see that, because there are so few of the wrecks still out there in the open air. You can see and touch them. So for us, this was a very, very special experience, and I hope you enjoyed it as well. All right, we are going to do some more research. We're going to travel more. And we're going to go to more locations, and you are going to be there. So thank you for your great support. Stay safe, keep smiling, and we'll definitely see you out there in the next one.